How many different ways are you showing up? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. Today I'm going to talk about my friend Charles Wiley and his book and album and everything else revolving around his Corn Man project. A couple days ago I received these in the mail. I wanted to make sure you saw them. Check this out. This is the Corn Man t-shirt. I got a copy of the original Corn Man book. It's a story of the Corn Man. This is chapter 1. Now chapter 2 just came out. What's Corn Man? Corn Man's a project, and you can find out about this by listening to my podcast, Off the Grid Biz podcast, where you can find it at offthegridbiz.com, and I'll put a link in the description going to the first episode that I interviewed Charles. Well, we just had him on a recent episode. Well, I just recently had him back to talk about his chapter 2 book that came out, and I'll get into it in a second. Well, what ended up happening was Charles is a musician, right? And how this whole thing started is he fell into this situation where he started researching the whole idea of how corn is in everything that we eat. That the corn lobby has been extremely good at getting corn into everything, from our fuel to everything we eat to a lot of things we wear and everything else. They found a way to, similar to the soy industry, they found a way to fit corn into everything. And so this inspired him to want to talk about this idea, and how he knew how to do that up till that point was through his music. So what he did was he put together an album. He had a piece of art put together by a friend, and this was the original art is him as a stalk of corn. And then it kind of inspired him to make this whole album and he found a story developing. So what did he end up doing? He made a children's book out of it, and that's what this is. It's the story of Corn Man, and it's a series of books. This is the initial book about how a regular everyday person ends up being turned into this Corn Man-like creature, and it's very interesting. But I wanted to point something out. He took an idea, he plugged it into something he already knew how to do, and then he tried something else and put it into an area that he'd never written any children's books before. Well, he got together with his wife, and she helped him develop a storyline and develop the script for it. And he got together with Andy Westhoff. His wife's name's Deirdre, by the way. And he got together with Andy Westhoff, who did the illustrations for this, and also did illustrations on the second one that just came out. You can find these in Amazon.com under the Story of Corn Man. So Story of Corn Man, the original, and then chapter 2. And then on top of that, he made an audio book for his original book. He came out with merchandise and everything else. Well, I met him at the Mother Earth News Fair last year in Albany, Oregon. And so we hit it off, and I was inspired by his enthusiasm for his project and his ability to take one simple idea and has put it out there in a million different ways, and continues to come up with new ways to put out the same thing, including ideas in the future, possibly doing something animated or something else. I mean, there's so many ways that you can take this and develop it and find an audience for it, or multiple audiences for it. So it's really interesting stuff, great conversations. Watch for that second show when it comes out. And I just want to thank Charles for sending me a t-shirt and a book, and I want to inspire you to take your ideas, get them out there, work with somebody who has some experience in the areas that you're trying to work these into. Don't just go one direction. Don't just do the same old thing that you've always done. Try and hit multimedias. Try and hit multiple forms of media, to reach the same audience. If you can do that, it creates multiple dimensions to your work, and that makes you more real to the average person out there. Especially if most of the work that you do is online, try doing something physical, so that it adds a whole nother dimension, like I said. So hopefully that makes sense to you. If you would like to know some other ways to be able to capture your audience and to really stand out in your competitive space, check out my book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. You get a free copy at amazonproofbook.com. We'll be back here tomorrow night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.